World, hope you're doing fantastically well out there. I've had to escape into a back room to get away from all the noise as normal. I swear, right? I've got to tell you this. I come back today and there's a pigeon living in like the lobby area. I don't know how it got in there, but it got in there and it's flying around and it doesn't seem to know how to get out properly, and it's causing the dog to bark in the next door's garden. So I'm trying to do this video, the dog's constantly barking, and I'm thinking, has the Matrix sent a pigeon my way to put me off from doing this? And we're going to get into what I'm going to talk about, so it wouldn't surprise me. But you can't make this shit up, guys. I'm telling you, we are living in the Truman Show. This stuff is all planned around us. I'm so confident of that now. But anyway, I digress. So today, guys, I'm going to review an NDE. Now, obviously, I had Mark on the channel recently from Forever Conscious Research, and he does a great job. But I'm going to start incorporating these myself because, let's face it, there's billions of people that need to be aware of the soul trap and to understand the kind of deceptions and manipulations that go on when we pass over, particularly with these entities. And obviously, through my work down the years, I've got a good handle on how they work, how they manipulate, the kind of things that they do. So maybe I can bring another angle to all this as well. Obviously, I don't know everything. I'm still learning all this as well, but I do feel the need to put some of this stuff out. I really like this channel here because the NDEs, they get into the crux of the story quite quickly. So we're going to get into one now. I'm just going to forward it a little bit because the guy sort of rabbles on a little bit. So yeah, let's get into it.
Later on in the day before I left, because it took them a while just to get my oxygen levels back up to normal. And they had told me if I continue feeling this way, that I have to get into the hospital tomorrow. They said, if you feel this way in the morning, just get yourself in the hospital any way you can. And that night turned into a light and love. It was a night.
Love and light. Here we go.
Night of light and love for me. It was magnificent. This near-death experience is so clear, so profound. I remember actually the way I left my body. I seen myself leave my body through my eyes in this beautiful, beautiful glowing mist. It was magnificent. When I was in the mist, now hovering above my body,
white light,
looking down upon myself. I first recognized myself when I first left my body. I knew it was me. It looked like the body was racked in pain. It wasn't moving. And I believe that from what I remember and was taught on the other is that
was taught. Love the way they always teach on the other side, because we're so useless, we don't know anything. We're just mere mortal humans that need to be taught everything by these entities.
Spirit waits around the body to make sure the body has no life left in it, that it's completely dead. And I remember hovering for a while, but it got to a point where I started feeling this amazing, beautiful feeling of love. The love was so wonderful.
Here we go with the love bombing. This is something that, a lot of us have spoken about before, that when you pass over, there's this almost euphoric, I call false light or false love frequency, similar to if you've ever taken ecstasy, probably intensified, which I guess is really difficult to resist. The guy's been in pain, he's just died, he's traumatized, and then all of a sudden he's love bombed with this love energy. No wonder we've been hooked back round so many times, many of us, because that must be hard to not walk away from, but yeah, just turn your cheek against. So
it engulfed me, and at this time now, I didn't even recognize the body on the bed. I was still looking down upon the bed and my body down there. At this time, when the brightness hit, and I don't remember turning, it just automatically turned me. And this beautiful gateway of light opened.
Oh, here's the false light tunnel. Gateway of light. Here we go.
And it drew me right in. It drew me right
It drew me right in, lured him right in. Soul lure system.
into this unbelievable tunnel of light with magnificent colors. Everything was magnified. It felt to me like hundreds of maybe thousands of times the
Again, you see all that difficult to reject. I mean, I've even heard in my research that there's colours that aren't even in this planet that they see. So it sounds like people are in awe and amazed, plus they're being love bombed, and then we'll see what else they throw at this guy to hook him back down. Because this is all nice, and for anyone watching this that's new to all this, yeah, it's great. It sounds really nice. He's having a great time, but ultimately he's still back down on planet crazy, and we're going to find more about what happens with him.
the beauty of it. And now I started moving. I'm in the tunnel now and I'm moving. And the love I was talking about just a minute ago kept increasing and got bigger and bigger and bigger. It was amazing. I felt like I became the love in this light.
Can you see as well? I mean, this is how the New Age gets people as well. Most people have had trauma. Some people have had a lot of trauma. This planet is quite draining, and then you're hit with all this. This love bomb. It must be a great relief to some people to feel it like that.
And I was moving and the colors was going by me and through me, and I felt like I was going through the universe. It was magnificent. Seeing nebulas going by and beautiful, like Orion and things like that. And then I remember my arrival. And this part was unbelievable because I've been traveling for a while now. But I remember my arrival so clearly. And
Arrival to where exactly? Sure, we're going to find out.
I said to myself over and over and over again, I'm home. I'm finally home. And then I repeated it again. And then I heard this beautiful, soft voice say, yes, Bill, you're home in the light of our Lord. Now I'm actually
in the light of our Lord.
Speaking to others there. I mean, there was family members there, but the person that was speaking to me announced who she was. And she said, my name is Antonia, and I was with you on your journey home. I didn't even realize she was in.
There's his guide. They're hitting him. They're hitting him with all the family members as well. They're throwing everything at him. And I get it, guys. I get it. This is hard information. I mean, I'm listening to him now, and I'm thinking, yeah, I'd love a bit of that, but I know that it's deception, and I don't want to be tricked back down here again. So, as difficult it is emotionally to take this on the chin, we do. I think we have to have that kind of emotional detachment before we leave with these things. So because we see it get used against us.
In the tunnel with me, we were moving at the speed of light. It was unbelievably beautiful. And at this point, it was still magnificent. The greeting, it felt to me like family and friends. We were all communicating, but our communication was all telepathy. It was beautiful because you could hear the voices in your head and they could hear you. And that part was wonderful. And Antonia explained to me, I'm the one that takes you in and I bring you home.
I'm the one that takes you in. Takes you in where? The plot thickens.
One of your guardians, she said.
Guardians, right.
And then she announced my second guardian. And soon as he said, hello, Billy, this was my brother's voice. My brother had died when I was very young. I was almost 16 years old. He was the one that very much took care of me growing up. But
it's so cruel and evil. It really is. I mean, as Mark said, they use pets, they use deceased loved ones, and this guy, he's being shown his dead brother from when he was a young kid. I mean, again, it's how do you refuse that? If you're unaware of the tricks in this matrix, You see your dead brother turn up, very difficult to turn away.
At that time, he said, "It's time for your life review." And now he took
Life review, here we go.
me to this beautiful
This is where they say there's no guilt, but they're completely going to guilt and shame him.
illuminated area. And now things start that is unbelievable. Now I'm back in my body. My brother Peter's alongside of me, and he's showing me events of my life. It was crystal
So he's actually got his brother showing him the events of his life. Interesting.
clear because now I'm in full form. This is where I first remember who I was again because I was just part of love and light and happiness and joy. And then it was almost like a flickering screen where he would bring me to events in my life. And they showed me all the events of my life, all the good events of my life, all
Why do I feel like there's going to be a but in a minute?
the good that I've ever done, the good deeds that I've done for people, the taking care of my friends growing up, but on and on for the good. They showed me the good things I did in my life, the good things, the good things. And then all of a sudden now, they showed me the wrong things
Oh, what a surprise. Here we go with the guilt and shame.
that I've done in my life. And the wrong or bad, let's call it, things that I believe we all do in our lives at times. You don't only know what the wrong is when you're there experiencing that, you feel the hurt and pain that you actually put onto someone else.
I've heard this a lot, these life reviews where they say that yeah, exactly what he said, that you experience the pain of what that person felt. So it's almost like they use our empathy to make us judge ourselves. So they really just don't need to do anything because humans are, you know, for the most part, empathetic, and we have that compassion and that caring side. They make you feel everything.
Like I'll never forget the feeling I had when I left my first wife, and I'll never forget the feeling. That feeling became so emotionally.
So they're showing him or making him feel how his wife felt when she left him. So, but essentially a relationship breakup. So can you imagine? I would imagine everyone watching this video has had a relationship breakup, and they're going to guilt trip you for having a relationship breakup, which is kind of a very common thing, and they're going to make him feel bad about it.
Strong for me now on this side. I became her pain. I was part of the physical pain. The pain was so bad. On top of that pain being bad, the physical pain, the emotional pain that my son had. He was a little boy. And, at the time I felt myself to be young and.
Wow, so they didn't just make him feel his ex-wife's pain, they made him feel his son's pain as well. And this is all supposed to be love and light and everything's beautiful.
Just dumb. I call, people in life sometimes as we grow, we have to grow. And it takes time to grow.
Yeah, we have to grow. Life's a school. We're here to learn lessons, yada, yada, yada.
But the key fact is that I'm trying to explain in your life review, when you're experiencing those,
You know what they can do with my life review? They can record that.
wrong things or bad things you might have done in your life, and you physically become the pain, and you are the pain. I remember at one time they were showing me something where I physically became this pain again and this emotional side. It was so bad that I just screamed, "I can't take it anymore. Please, I'm sorry. Please." And then I heard a voice, and the good outweighs the bad. And all of a sudden, all this gray left, and we were standing there.
I feel another butt coming on.
Now, back in spirit form, now I look at myself, that misty green light turned into a beam. It was a beam of beautiful, beautiful light that just was amazing. And we were still conversing back and forth, Peter and I. And that's the time I was introduced to my third guardian. I met three guardians on my travels through heaven. And they brought me to another level, Peter, and my third guardian's name was Oren. And
Notice these guardians got very new agey names because these are the kind of beings these new ages are channeling.
they explained to me, this is the hall of events. I didn't understand what they were talking about. All I knew is I felt like I was in this massive, beautiful auditorium. And now they would transport me from scene to scene. I think this started when actually before I was born. And I seen things that I was never part of. Now, they weren't showing me good or bad things that I've done. They would show me events of the past. They would show me events of the present. They would
I bet they were happy things. Earth's history.
show me events of the future. And it was unbelievable. They were bringing me on this ride that was physical at the time because we were back in our bodies again. And I'll never forget some of the things that happened along the way. They showed me wars that I never was even alive to be in. They showed me events that led up to all the way up to 9/11. They showed me 9/11. And I am from New
Because Earth's such a love and light place.
York. And when we stopped at that scene, I remember saying, I have friends in that building. And almost like I went to run. And they grabbed me and they said, Bill, you can't do anything basic. You're not here now. This is your future. They explained to me.
This is your future. Notice how they're making the decision for him. See, this is what this is why it's so important to become sovereign in this lifetime, become discerning in this lifetime, walk your own path to the beat of your own drum in this lifetime. And yeah, you can listen to people, and I mean, I wouldn't recommend listening to anyone in when you pass. I'm just heading straight for the exit. But people want to be led. This is the problem. They want a savior. They want to be led, and you can tell that because this guy, and I say it all the time, that if you don't sort this stuff out in this lifetime, it will be used against you. This guy probably believes everything the government says. He gets led from pillar to post in all these deceptions, and then the same thing's happening. As nice as he's coming across, the same things happen when he's passed. He's just being led around. He was probably, a bit of a sheep in this lifetime, and now he's being a sheep. Now he's passed, and he's going to get led astray.
And this was emotional to me at the time because I did have friends in the tower, the first tower that went on. Then we were whisked off again to another and another and another. But the first place we were whisked off to that after that was my mother-in-law's living room. Because on the morning of 9/11, my wife and I were scheduled to go into New York City to do some of our buying. Well, we did some buying at some jewelry distributors. And then I remember my mother-in-law calling us down. I wasn't feeling well that morning for some reason. She called us down, and then we saw the tower. The tower was burning at the time. And then we watched it coming down. People were running every which way but loose. I actually started to run again because I said, my friends. And they said, Bill, you can't do anything again. And
so that's the other thing. If Earth is a school, like those people in that building, like what the hell is their lesson, right? What are they here to learn with something like that happening to them? It's all just, yeah, it's absolute BS.
And this was insane because now that I'm in my mother-in-law's room watching it alongside, I start screaming at them. And then I realized all three of us are sitting there. And I'm screaming, there's another plane coming. But of course, they didn't hear me. So for me, it was very hard to understand. I didn't know how this was all happening. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know if this was just something that could have happened or something that was going to happen. Then they showed me future events on top of that. These events, they led into one another. They would follow through. They brought me to Baghdad. I remember being in Baghdad because I believe it was Baghdad anyway. There was bombs going off all over. Again, I mean, instinctively, I think I went to move out of the way of the bombs, and they said, "This won't hurt you, Bill. This is your future." From Baghdad, the flickering screens was moving so fast that it felt.
So see how it all starts as love and light, and then it quickly switches from guilt and shame, and now they're putting him through all these traumatic experiences where he's kind of having to relive really major events, like really dark events in Earth's history. And there'll be a point to all of this because they always tailor these things to that particular person.
Like it was in a computer and clips of things were moving by and fast.
Felt like he was in a computer. Find that very interesting because I think these are all AI algorithms and this demonic AI god at the head of it all.
Faster and faster and faster. It was so advanced that it brought us to a point where it was like our future. You know, when you're at a stage where God doesn't want you to be, and we even have families and great friends not talking to each other anymore. This has to stop. We all have to sit and come together and talk again and bring out our views. And
what amazes me is they have so much trust and faith in this God, and even people, religious people, and yet I look around at the pain and the suffering and the wars and everything that he's mentioned there. That doesn't. There's a there's a disconnect. There's a disconnect between that God uh, and the one that we're told about.
each side has to listen. The thing is, it's important that we do this because the hate that exists on the plane that exists today is too much. It's no good. It's not what God wants for this planet. It's not what God wants for our spirits. Our spirits are supposed to be love and joyous.
So why do we keep coming back down then, if God doesn't want that for our spirits? Why did he come back down again?
But we're sent here to feel, and that's why we're here, because our only feeling is one of complete love. And we are part of that love. And the beauty of it is here we get to feel things like pain, sorrow, anger.
Wonderful. Give me some more of that pain, anger, please. I want more. 90 plus years isn't enough of that for me. I want more. I want more lifetimes, please. Because, yeah, all right, if you were to experience that for one lifetime, maybe, yeah, okay, maybe I could believe what he was saying. But over and over and over and over again, probably for hundreds and thousands of lifetimes, there comes a point where, hang on, I've had enough of experiencing pain and anger and suffering now. I think I know what that feels like now. Thank you very much. I'm off. But no, we come back over and over and over again to experience the same BS over and over again.
Happiness, sad. We feel everything on this side, and this is how our spirits grow.
Earth is a school. This is how we grow. We're learning lessons. As I said in a video a couple of months ago, if it's a school, why do we have our memory wiped? Because we forget everything that we've learnt in that lifetime. So how on earth are we supposed to progress with the memory wipe in place?
Spirit's growth is through an educational process from when we're born to when we leave. And it's so important that we learn as much as we can and experience as much as we can. So in the Hall of Events, at the end of the Hall of Events, they showed me basically two outcomes. They showed me a world where we almost turned into, there was destruction. Cities were burned. I mean, it almost turned into, I explain it like the movie.
It's time
Sorry,
to
guys,
experience
can't do
a way
anything
of
about
travel
this.
that is unique from the very first moment.
Movie Mad Max days or something like that. It was so bad. Then they showed me an opposite version of that. It was like two
Looks like the new Earth. It's a rainbow bridge. Where's the rainbow bridge there?
different worlds at the same time. So, in other words, if we took the right path, the thing is, there's a negative and positive energies in our universe that are so strong. There's always battling going on. The whole key there is that our energies are so important to keep on the positive plane, because if we stay on a negative plane, we cause an imbalance. I believe our Earth has been here
I believe that, actually.
through hundreds and thousands of millions of years, but I believe we've done this over and over again.
You're not wrong, my friend. You're not wrong.
And I believe that we reach a point where
We come back again.
God does a reset. We don't have to worry about bombs.
God, the AI God. Yeah, we'll be doing his reset.
I mean, God says enough is enough. So that's why I say if we don't stop and sit and listen to each other, I believe we all have the basic. Listen, if you're a good person and you're a decent human being, everyone wants to see our children safe. They explained to me that Jesus wants the children to be safe.
Of course, Jesus wants the children to be safe. He's coming down to save us at any moment, guys, because he wants us to be safe so much.
And that's important. I believe that everybody would agree on that.
No.
Those are the only two things, the most important things. It's very important that we put this to an end, come to terms, talk to each other again. So that was the end of what I call the hall of events in my book. From that point, the three guides brought me to a final level of enlightenment where I was surrounded by these beautiful, beautiful angels, magnificent.
They're really ramping it up now as they try and get him back down. They're bringing in angels now.
Stand their beams of light, but these angels were unbelievable. This is where I was taught 9 principles of enlightenment. They had so much wisdom and knowledge, these angels, and it was passing all this on to me in these principles of choices, principles of intuition, principles of lessons, of warnings.
Lessons.
Of service. Our service is so important that we give on to others. This was a major principle on the other side. They made this of one of the most important. It's important to give in a form of not just monetary. It's nice to give to monetary as well, but it's important that we actually do something in service. We help each other. Even in small service, like just helping maybe an elderly person to their car with their groceries and pass a smile onto them. The smile is a gesture of love, and love begets love.
What about actually calling out the evil on this planet? What about speaking truth that no one wants to speak? That's going to make not only you feel uncomfortable, but it may make other people uncomfortable. Displaying that courage, that's helping people. I mean, yeah, this stuff's good, helping like old people, and I'm all down for that. But what about taking like real big time action in exposing the darkness in this world and shining the light on it? And then that will make, hopefully, future generations have a much more better experience.
You'll find if you smile a lot, the love comes around. And the beauty of it is that we could give this kind of service every day.
It all sounds fluffy, smile a lot and it all comes around, but does it really? I mean, I hate to bang on about it, but these people in the buildings in 9/11, I'm sure they smiled a lot. I'm sure there's a lot of people that have smiled a lot, but at the same time, they're suffering at the hands of this matrix. And again, I'm not saying that we shouldn't smile, we shouldn't enjoy life. I think for a lot of us, I've said before, I think it's hopefully going to be our last time around here. but it's almost like spiritual bypassing. Just smile and everything's going to be all right on the night. When it's not. We've got to look at stuff like this and move through this stuff that's uncomfortable.
Because it's so simple. And the service gets so important that our spirit actually grows through this phase. That's where we come to different levels of enlightenment. It's wonderful. I remember another spirit approaching me, coming almost right into me. I feel his brightness and his light, and he's explaining things to me. And all of a sudden, I see beautiful water flows of numbers just flowing like crystal lights. It was amazing
Algorithms.
because they reflected off of everything. And I would see numbers like 8, 1. I would see the 3, 6, 9 numbers. They told me that these numbers and these symbols they were showing me, they represented our universe. At the time, I didn't know what to make of any of this. I knew nothing about near-death experiences or anything to do with that. They did tell me one very important thing. They said I had an alert system numbers, a set of numbers, and my alert system numbers were 6, 6. And I already knew this in my life because I had throughout my whole life, I will never forget this, at times when certain events happened, good events or bad events, it didn't matter. This number 66 would appear on everything I looked at. I could be driving and all of a sudden it's 66. I could look down at the speedometer and it says 66. I could look up at the TV set and all of a sudden it says 66 about something. And I would get these sequences of numbers like that in my life already. I've had that in my life. They told me to pay attention closely to those numbers because that's one of my guardians, being able to send me messages.
We see this a lot in the New Age movement, people talking of angel numbers. I actually get asked this question a lot. And really, this guy has just nailed it. I don't really need to elaborate. It's the Matrix, kind of like giving you the wink, wink, like you're on the right path. And I remember when I was, I was never fully into the New Age, but I was into it a little bit. At that point, I was seeing a lot of these repeating numbers, a lot of these quote unquote angel numbers, and in my head I thought, oh, I must be on the right path, and I think that's what the Matrix does. It sends you like a little nudge, nudge, wink, wink, which is really, getting you to continue on the path that you're on with all the deceptions and the false light stuff. So yeah, I think this is just another program that it uses.
There's a lot of sameness among online brokers these days. IBKR stands out in the crowd.
Just to teach me something's wrong. At the end of this experience of the whole of events, a beautiful spirit approaches me, magnificent, sweet, glowing light, and she explains to me that I must return.
I must return. No ifs, no buts, no questions. I must return. So where is his sovereignty? Where is his decision making in that?
She explains to me, you have the understanding of the 9 principles of enlightenment. I remember saying yes. And then,
so this is an important point, guys. What they're doing now with all these NDEs is, and Mark calls it the Matrix Marketing Department, they are giving them all these insights and experiences, and the person's coming back like full of woo woo. It's great. It's all okay. It's love. Everything's gonna be all right. Your family members are there. Your angels are there. Your guides are there. There's no judgment, even though there is. And so they're marketing the whole NDE, the whole soul trap, as something good. These people are being used now by the Matrix to come and sell the idea of the soul trap as a good thing. And it's really dangerous. And this is why I've decided to start doing some of these videos myself, because I see the need for as many people as possible to talk about this stuff, to break this stuff down. Because where they're using these people to market the soul trap, we need to do the opposite, and we need to call it out, because if we don't, people are going to get hooked back round again. So I'll let this guy finish, but I wanted to make that point because it's important.
Then she said again, "You must return." I said, "No, I'm home. I'm finally home. I'm home."
Sorry to butt in again, but also notice the resistance. He doesn't want to go back. He knows what it's like down here. He knows the pain. He knows the suffering. And if you research these things, you'll know that more often than not, they do not want to come back down. There's quite a lot of resistance quite often because they know what it is here.
In the light of our Lord, I'm loved. Now, don't take this away from me. I begged. I pleaded.
He begged. Imagine how much he didn't want to come back. He was begging.
I never forget it because I begged over and over again. And then she said, "You understand the 9 principles of enlightenment. Again, you must return." Well, at the time, I had my second son in my wife's belly at home in Florida, and he was about to be born. And she said to me, "You must."
I was just about to say, they're going to use that. They're going to use that against him because there's resistance there. He doesn't want to come back, so they're going to play the ace card. I bet you. Hang on.
Must return. I said, "No, again, I don't want to return. Please, please don't send me back." She says, "I am 6 of 6. You must return." And the next thing I knew, I'm bringing back. First, she mentioned me as dad. Now, I didn't know at the beginning if it was dad because of my son that was about to be born. I already had an older son, Joey, and my son, Billy, was about to be born. But when she said, finally, before I left, "I am your future daughter. I am 6 of 6. I didn't have a daughter. And the next thing I know, I was whisked back through almost like a vortex. Not as pleasing as going, but I was totally brought back. And now I'm in bed. I have no feeling in my body. The only thing that I remember, because I didn't have air in my lungs for I don't know how long. I just like when you're drowning and you completely no oxygen for a length of time. And I took this breath in. I finally got air back in my body, but I just stood there, and now the rest of my body didn't move. The rest of my body was almost like it was paralyzed. And I'm sitting there, and I can't move, but I could finally breathe again. It was labored, but I could breathe again. And after maybe 10 or 15 minutes or so, I start feeling tingling going through my arms and my legs, and then sensation coming back. I finally was able to move a little bit, and I remember hitting the operator at the hotel and saying, "Send somebody up here, help me." And next thing I know, I was in the hospital. And they put me on oxygen again, and they put me on medications.
Look at his face; he's gutted. I feel really sorry for him. He really didn't want to come back, and I don't think we need to. I think we can leave it there. But you get the general gist, you know. Tricked back down again, guilt trip, family members showing up, a lot of resistance. Then they used his unborn daughter as like the final ace card. So yeah, on the surface, like I say, it all sounds great, just like the new age stuff. It all sounds lovely, and everything's love and light. But what's the end result? He's back down here, and you know this is happening to us when we actually die as well. We're ending up going through this process and coming back down, and they use all these things against us. It's completely evil, and of course the only difference here is we get our memory wiped. So yeah, guys, tell me what you think of this. What's your opinions on this one? Leave a like, comment, subscribe, share this around. If you want to check out any of my other work, go to my website, transcendingtimes.org. If you want to work with me, check out my course. That's also available now. But yeah, I'll see you soon on the next video, guys. You take care.